Welcome back to the Daily Thunder Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woods. I am here. Actually, I'm just going to pass off hosting duties right away. Our guy, Cray Allred. Cray Allred here with us after one of the, I don't know, halfway through the fourth, you already know you're watching a game you'll never forget. And then two overtimes happen after that. So, unbelievable. Game one of the conference finals. Thunder lose 122-115. An epic, an epic game. Obviously, not the result we were looking for. What's your first thought? I know we're gonna get to so many. What's your first thought?
Well, my first thought is maybe it's Cope, but it is Brandon's tweet. We've seen a few game ones feel really bad during this Thunder run. And that one, actually, the first thought is totally blown opportunity. Like it would have been not the perfect win, but a pretty ideal win to get pushed that hard for Wemby to play his career high in minutes and to take game one and to be downhill on a 7-game series that is an every other day series. I would have been feeling pretty good as rough as a finish to the first half, second half, overtime, and second overtime kept hitting us with. So, total gut punch to begin with. But I don't think it's totally irrational. I think, yeah, we haven't, on the one hand, as people say, we haven't seen a player quite like Wemby, but we also haven't seen Wemby survive this kind of series as well. I wouldn't rule out a long, tough series. I wouldn't rule out a Thunder win. I'm still going to pick the Thunder. I'll go down cocky if I have to. But got a ton of thoughts on the game. But I think just a brutal missed opportunity. I think is the main thing that you say that after every playoff game, but Wimby's different. I think we all can see that. But what about you? What's your main takeaway?
Yeah, I it just felt like a game they didn't play well for the majority of it. And then they make their run and they take the lead and just a couple possessions that we'll single out as we go along, but they had their chances to put this away despite a poor Shai night, despite truly an epic performance from Wemby. A great Harper game. Come back soon, De'Aaron Fox. A great Harper game. Vassell had sorry, not Vassell. Castle had his turnovers, a ton of them. I think he set a Spurs record for turnovers in a playoff game, but I thought he was also very good in distributing when it wasn't going the other way. Thought he was really effective. I don't know,
I need to watch his tape back. I'm developing a petty read on the Castle. I feel like he's good at hitting the corners and throwing junk in Wemby's direction. It does work.
it works though. And that's about all you need. 11 assists tonight, 11 assists and 11 turnovers. Pretty wild. He was a -1 in his
Yeah.
minutes.
I just think, I'm not calling him a bad player, a bad distributor necessarily, but I feel like it looks better. It looks more like a skilled read as a distributor because, but it's not necessarily like an advanced read that he's making most of the time. They got pretty simple. They got a lot of gravity in the paint and guys parked in the corners at all time. He's playing pick your poison. And frankly, the Thunder, there was nothing was stagnant about the Thunder's defense or really anything about the game at all. Um, Honestly, I thought the game was a little too random from the Thunder side, but that is one thing that they are very, when it comes to picking your poison, they're like, you know, take that corner three. And they do that at the same time that they are also matching up small players on Wemby in the paint intentionally. I don't know that Chet. or Red Hart for that matter, showed that they're the right matchup to try to prioritize and get them between him and the basket. But uh, it just feels suboptimal to me against this team. And I think they are. I think I feel like Dagnall is both very stubborn is the wrong word, but very committed to certain under defensive identity things. But on the other hand, like I said, a little random, and a little wild with some of the choices he makes, especially with the rotation. So I just feel like it doesn't always make sense to me against the Spurs, and maybe that's just what it's like dealing with the Spurs. You know, that's just what the kind of frenzy they put you into. But I think there are plenty. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think there are alternative approaches to try to stick with throughout the game that can feel less suboptimal.
As opposed to leaving the corners? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, both and. It's weird to me that Chet will leave the corner as a help defender on Victor Wembanyama in the paint. Like, is it like down as awesome as Alex Caruso is, like
Mhm.
MVP of the Thunder tonight, right? The most capable Mighty Mouse wing against Wemby, Jokic, right? Like this is not a fluke. This is him. But I mean, they're in second overtime. There's possessions where like Chet is helping way off the corner while Alex Cruz was fighting for his life so that they don't dump the ball under the cup for the 8 foot tall alien. And I'm like, if you're going to tag off that much and leave the corner whenever the pass gets made, why not have the taller player on the Thunder that's 7 foot start closer to the rim than Alex Caruso? So I just feel like it is a weird combination of strategy and matchups that had it worked out, we'd be praising Caruso
Do you
and
think do you think do you think the Thunder want to play Chet? Like, if they had their like, do you think that's what they want to do and they just can't? Do you think they wanna
what do you
put
think?
Chet
What do you
on do you think they wanna put Chet on Wemby and guard him straight up? Like, obviously, we
me?
know that that's not that like, that does not work. Chet can't handle it, but do you think that this Caruso or J-Dub, smaller guy on him, Chet as the roamer, is, like, what they're now forced to?
By
Like,
necessity, is what
by
you're
nece
saying.
because I'm not sure that, like, if you just asked Mark and, like, he was honest, I think he'd be like, "Well, I'd love to not have to do this. I'd love for Chet to be able to stand his ground and guard him one-on-one, he just can't." And I thought specifically Caruso defending Wemby was, like, pretty solid. Like, we didn't see that much in the regular season, and I thought that he was pretty effective. I wanted to your point about Chet helping off, OKC takes their first lead, I believe their first lead of the 4th quarter on a Caruso 3 with 151 left. It's 95-94. The next possession, the Spurs really aren't threatening all that much. Like, where they are in the shot clock, where they are on the floor, the spacing, it's nothing crazy. And Chet is helping in about a step and a half too far in. The ball finds Champagnie, and he hits the 3 to go up 97-95. The next let's see, a little further down,
There were so many sequences. I have these notes
so
of like this
so
play,
many.
that play, this play, that play, and it's.
But there was
I mean, it was.
another
That's one thing we should say. It was an epic watch. Like,
yeah.
as
Oh, yeah.
Thunder fans are
Like,
miserable right now, but total, total hardwood classic. Like,
that game
lived
is
up
an
to the
all-time.
billing. Everyone's happy. The league's happy. Spurs fans obviously happy. Everyone's thrilled. Awesome game.
But there was another Chet, uh, there was another corner 3 we gave up. I think it might have been Vassell that hit that one. Yeah,
He hit a few. Hit a few.
Vassell hit one at 225, the 225 mark. We were down 1. I think that's the one. I could be wrong.
Each one felt backbreaking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like
Vassell, everything's Vassell. I mean, Vassell's a gamer. Like I said,
do you wanna rewind to anything in the first half? There's so much to get to beyond halftime. Like, is there I have one thing
yeah,
I wanna mention pre-halftime.
let me do a quick cruise to the first half. So, one, De'Aaron Fox out. Unfortunate for the Spurs, but I said before the series, I was worried that Dylan Harper was gonna replace
Yeah.
Fox in the starting lineup, period, because I think Dylan Harper is better than not just Fox, but also Stephon Castle, and I think he showed that he is legit. I don't think they were necessarily better because Fox was not in the rotation, but I think Harper's going to stick with the starters, or he at least has that kind of role figured out and that confidence, and he knows what he's doing. And regardless of Fox's availability, like Harper's a problem. So Harper had a fantastic game. SGA, really rough game. Somewhat from the Spurs, like everyone else so far, threw crowds at him, although it was the a modified, easier crowd to build because they have Wembanyama. So when it was on the Wembanyama side of the court, he was just the help defender, and when it was on the uh, other side, he saw more bodies. They did throw a zone at him that threw him off. He had a pretty bad turnover in that second overtime period. I'm getting ahead of myself,
We're
but
bouncing around.
SGA,
The I really wanna I really wanna try and nail us down to, like, a chronological recap here, and it's so hard. It's so hard not to, like, skip to the end.
so they come out struggling badly.
I wanna ask about the starting 5. Were you surprised that they went with their normal starting 5?
Not at all.
Me either. Did you want them to?
I didn't mind them starting with that, but I don't like that. And I said before the series that if there was going to be, a lot of people were speculating is AJ Mitchell going to replace uh, J Dub. I think that was a crazy theory, but or Dort or pick your guard, uh, kind of in the pecking order, maybe in the starting lineup. But I think iHeart was the obvious one that might get pulled from the starting lineup. So I didn't mind that they didn't pull him, but I did think it was a big tell that they not gave him the hook immediately.
And
So
didn't
like,
and he did
does
not
he believe in it or not? You know?
and he didn't start the second half. Kaysen started the second half in place of Hartenstein. Have you looked at the box score?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you if you knew how many minutes Hartenstein had played tonight.
I don't know that, but I'm gonna
Do you wanna
say
guess?
under 30 in a 2 overtime game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played 12 minutes. He played 12 minutes.
Jay Will almost played that much. Jay Will played 10 or 11 minutes.
Jay Will played 10.5. McCain played 18. Kaysen played 28. Mitchell 33. Caruso 31. Dort only 22. Chet 40. J-Dub 37. Shea 51. There's a lot there. Let's go to J-Dub. Just quickly, he looked really good, both ends. I think there was a couple times in the second half he looked gassed and just kind of, like, died on a couple screens. One of them led to that Castle dunk, and I think that was second overtime. It's all a blur. But I thought he was really good, like, overall. Like, he got through the game. He finished the game healthy. Like, I think that was there's a win there, that he was able to come back after this time, look that good, play that many minutes, and
The
okay.
Caruso and Jada minutes basically staggered. Like Caruso when Wemby was on, not all every time, but most stretches was pretty fantastic. And Jada when Wemby was off was just crushing the rim.
He had a couple, like, truly monstrous
Yeah.
defensive plays against Wemby. My only note
And
from
I
the
would say Jada against Wemby, I think could look a lot better. It's
Yeah,
his first
agreed,
game. He's barely played the season, period. And
agreed,
what an assignment! What an assignment
truly.
to come back to. And he held up, so he could look better in that matchup. But it's gonna be it's a near impossible matchup, It's not gonna be easy at all ever, so.
My only note from the first half, I simply can't believe the Aaron Wiggins minutes. 3 minutes and 57 seconds of just garbage.
Four threes missed, right?
Three threes, and he turned down another. In 3 minutes and 57 seconds, the Thunder were a -7 in Aaron Wiggins minutes. They lose the game in double overtime by 7. Hilarious. Obviously not a one-to-one comparison, but that's pretty gutting for a player who just simply has been out of the rotation for most of the year. He's gotten spot minutes. He's played more when other guys are down. But this guy has not been in the rotation much, especially since the McCain trade. And to play him in the first half, especially after he goes in and like immediately misses a couple, I don't
He
know,
came back
man.
after a timeout too.
They
He came
called
back
a
in after a
timeout and he
timeout.
came back
Yeah.
after the
Yeah.
timeout.
And Isaiah Joe didn't play.
No,
He played 16
he
seconds.
played 16 seconds. It's just that's incredibly puzzling. Isaiah Joe's been in the rotation. Jared McCain has essentially passed both Wiggins and Isaiah Joe. Like, you coulda just run with McCain there in those minutes. I thought it was a huge miss from Mark in the first half. OKC, like, looked like they might try and close the half well. No. Corner 3, I think that was Vassell, right before the half. That was a big time hit. I think he hit one at the end of the 3rd, towards the end of the 3rd as well. They shot like, the Spurs shot the ball, you know, pretty well from 3. Eh, I wanna look at the percentage before I, like, just totally commit to that. I mean, they shot 30%, not that great. We actually shot
It flipped at the end of the game.
yeah, 30 we hit
I will say the Thunder were extremely clutch. They almost blew out by a lot of big shots, a lot of big moments. For most of the game, they're extremely cold. They finished shooting. They made 17 threes on 38%,
yeah,
which usually the formula for a blowout for
truly.
the Thunder.
And the first half, it felt like the Spurs shot it a bit better than 30%. I didn't look at the number at halftime, but it felt solid. Like, Keldon Johnson had hit a couple, Champagnie, Vassell, really solid from them in the first half.
Yeah, they were 37% in the first half, and the Thunder were
Okay,
27%. Yeah, so it flipped in
that
that
feels about
second half,
right.
and everything flipped in the second half for the most part. They were down 7 uh, coming in. I mean, they played even in the third, but I felt like, I don't know about you, but like the swarm of Spurs defenders was the story of the first half, not
Mhm.
just for Shea, but their rotations, their pressure on the ball all the way up beyond the perimeter, even they looked like the Thunder. And I think the broadcast pointed out it was like a mirror image of the way the Thunder play, and the Thunder weren't uh, pushing that kind of pressure on the Spurs. And then I do think that turned in the third quarter. And then down the stretch of the fourth as well, where the Thunder were a lot more themselves. They looked a lot more like themselves and were, um, making life a lot more uncomfortable for the Spurs guards on the perimeter as they made the comeback. But the rotation, I think, is a really weird, really odd. Like I said, it's like if you believe in the start, it's hard to criticize the I Heart hook because that was when Caruso came in and like revived the Thunder.
Yeah,
But still, like, if you believe in the Thunder, if you believe in the starters, like, why are you just throwing them out there to go with the thing you really think you need, you know? And
100%.
then same with Wiggins. Like, if you believe in Wiggins and not Joe, why is Wiggins not? Why is he coming in cold for his first real playoff minutes in 2 series? Like, why is why doesn't he have any burn before this coming into this? It just is odd. I mean his overall plans seem to be, and I can't knock it down the stretch that he was gonna throw a very deep rotation at the Spurs and count on them to be high energy, right? And to try to wear down the Spurs with the depth that the Thunder have that the Spurs can't match. But the individual pieces within that puzzle, pretty strange, pretty confusing to me.
And I was I mentioned to Brandon earlier today, like, I would just start Caruso, and this is not me tooting my own horn, but I did say, like, I just don't know who Hartenstein guards. If you're going to play like, they open the game with Hartenstein on Castle, and first possession, Castle hits a 3 above the break. I think the Thunder would live with those attempts, a big diet of that, but, like, still, your first possession on the guy, he takes a 3. Like, their shooters and their guards just seem so unfazed by the environment, so unfazed by this team they have all season. It's just there's a physicality and like a you just do not really care who you are, what you've done, and I think it's admirable, it's awesome. They're very good, but, I don't know, like, I just think you have to play I think you have to play with 1 extra perimeter guy to start, like, for most of these minutes. And I think, like, obviously, Mark got there. I think they were quick to this wasn't like a Scott Brooks, Kendrick Perkins situation where you just bang your head through a wall because he won't do anything about it, but, like, they like you're saying, why how do you have this much time off? How do you have this much season of Spurs tape? And, how do you make the adjustment against the Pacers in the finals, and you don't make the adjustment here against a much better team with better wings and, obviously, Victor? How do you make the adjustment in one series and not in the other when this series, I feel like, screams it even louder that, like, it doesn't it could be anybody. It could be anyone. It could be AJ. It could be Caruso. They chose Kaysen. It could be any of them. It just there's no one for Hardenstein to guard. And if you're going to prioritize the Wemby minutes when he's on the bench, which you should, that is your chance here, it seems like. Then play double big then. Play double big against Cornette. Play Hartenstein and McCain and AJ and Dub, like, doesn't matter who the 4th guy is. It could be Isaiah Joe. It could be Dort, like, whatever. It just can't be double big against their starters, especially if Harper's gonna be out there, like, killing guys, getting to the paint. So, I was disappointed, I wasn't surprised like you're saying. I don't think anybody was surprised that the Thunder just, like, rolled out their 5. And then like you're saying, quick hook for Hardenstein, didn't see him much. Like, he came back in for, like, situational possessions in double overtime, like, he wasn't even involved much in the second half at all.
He
So
was just handcuffed. He was just handcuffed to Cornette,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Cornette was a disaster
yeah,
in his minutes.
I don't
I
think
do
it's a
think
bad idea.
the Spurs do need a lot of Wemby minutes. You know, to the point about how much energy he has in the tank for a long playoff series like this. I do think they're not going to get away with. I mean, Cornette's going to be exposed. The Thunder are going to attack viciously the second Cornette is the one under the rim. Uh,
He played
I
9
do
and a
think that
half
the
minutes. He played 9 and a
yeah,
half minutes. He was a
almost
minus
enough to give the victory to.
yeah, he was a -9. Harrison Barnes was also a -9 in about 6 minutes. They played
Yeah,
Carter Bryant 13, almost 14 minutes, Keldon Johnson 21, and that was it. They played 9 guys. Um, the Thunder played they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They played 12 guys. OKC played 12 guys. We probably could have done with 9. Um, I do think this is a J. Will series. I like the way that the Spurs were able to get Keldon Johnson, like, just straight away uncontested threes. I'm like, the Thunder need to be doing that for J. Will in the same minutes. Like, there are lineups where J. Will is the best three-point shooter. He's out there with Shai. Like, that's you gotta find him shots if he's gonna be out there, because otherwise, like, those are Wemby minutes. Like, you have to, like, space the floor with him.
one
I
of
was
our commenters
disappointed.
suggested Jay Will in the starting unit before the game as an alternative if we're gonna go double bigs. Have
It's
him
better than
shoot it.
Harden's it's better than Hardenstein in this series, in my opinion. Like, I've never I've never minded the Chet J. Will minutes. I think they're I don't know what the plus minus would say, but I do tend to like those minutes.
So my issue with the Hartenstein thing is the Harten. It's good 'cause to me, on the one hand, it's the same lineup that the Thunder have done, but they employed their standard lineup to execute the strategy that has not worked for in the other teams that have played the Spurs. I mean, everyone has tried to park a big on Castle and let him shoot, and he's shooting over 40% for the playoffs. And again, like, so because he hits a couple shots, then that's strategy bogus. Like, did you believe in that strategy or
It
not?
just
Like, it
feels like
just doesn't
very
seem like,
very little conviction on any of it. Very little.
yeah, it's a good word for it. Yeah. Um, and not that I wanted to see Castle hit three more,
Right.
but I just don't understand the game plan and the adaptation just doesn't like it.
In the same way that it felt like they were just kinda grasping for things in the regular season when Wemby was not starting some of these games, they kinda just it seemed like they were on their back foot the whole time with their rotations and who they wanted to put out there with Kornet starting. It was just it just had the same kind of feel, like, they don't really know what they want, and I thought or maybe they're just like, "We can't play our best punch the whole time. Like, it's gotta be something else at some point," and I don't know, I don't think that we'll see Hardenstein start in
I
game
don't
2.
either. And I mean, frankly, one thing that I was more comfortable with was Dort also got uh, a quicker hook
Uh-huh.
and didn't he came back in the second, but he was gone for most of the first half. He did hit 1 3 in the second, and we know how Dort threes go, but I mean,
They forced a timeout.
how can you watch Caruso drain what did he hit 7?
He hit 8 out of 14. 8 out of 14.
And those are the Dort shots. I mean,
Right.
he is in the Dort space that the Spurs are doing the same exact thing of, treat him like Tony Allen, but Dort is Tony Allen. Caruso has a jump shot. And it's like, do we need to start Dort just to get 5 obligatory minutes
Right.
off the bat?
I
I
and, like, it is very interesting. I'm not saying this is everything, but we are talking about the 2 players in the starting lineup that have team options this offseason,
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
and, like, that's not nothing. That's not nothing here.
And this has been my our readers will know I'm crazy. I feel like I'm on an island that they should not shed the contracts of Dort and iHeart to dodge the tax and or the second apron. But my point has been is if they need them in the playoffs to win the championship, then it is better to pay tax and have a deep lineup locked in that you rely on to win back-to-back titles than it is to maintain cap flexibility and hope that you replace them. And everyone thinks that's crazy and they need to replace them, they need to upgrade. And I've always said, well, if they're not good enough, then they shouldn't be starting. They shouldn't. And I'm about at that point. The Spurs have sped up that process, I think, in my mind, that if they're not, I'm not saying they can't play, but if they're not the best starting unit to beat the best team in the NBA, then what are we doing? Why are
And
we wasting a few
and
minutes of a crucial game that you lose in the second overtime period that you could have won?
I do wanna say both of them have been, like, really positive so far in these playoffs. Like, I thought both of them have had really solid series in the first 2 rounds. This is a very unique starting 5 for San Antonio. Like, really good. And if some of these threes don't go in, we don't feel it quite as much. I will say that. Like, we aren't feeling the effects quite as much if the threes aren't going in or if they're just contesting a little closer. I didn't think the defense was all that bad in the first quarter.
No, that's pretty good.
I thought
Honestly,
ev
all game, their defense held up pretty well all game for the most.
I thought the Thunder I thought they missed a lot of pretty solid looks. It really took Caruso coming in the game to, like, take the lid off. He had the first 7 points of the game. We didn't score until he came in the game. So, let's go let's go second half. Anything you wanna get to, I think this is the hardest part of the game to remember. Anything that you wanna get to prior to, like, those final few possessions of regulation?
So my earlier criticism of the how they guard the arc and the paint against Wemby's strategy notwithstanding, I do think they don't have, especially the play he drew up to get on a few plays, got Shea a lot of space and opportunity and had a killer 2 for 1
Yeah, yeah.
that was incredible. Uh, Wemby over to Chet, and so that and moved. Anyway, I can't describe. It's too late,
Well,
but
and the 2 for 1 came with Shea getting fouled on a similar play, and then Wemby scored, and then Shea got the layup that you're talking about where Chet's in the corner and Wemby's not moving. Really, really good move from Shea and a really tough finish to tie it. Before was it in regulation? I think it was in regulation. OKC takes the lead, like we mentioned earlier, 95-94, minute 51. It hits the ensuing 3 on the next possession. The Thunder didn't lead again in regulation, but they were matching basket for basket to get it to 101. Huge Chet block to get the game to overtime. So this was Caruso on, actually, it ended up being Kaysen. It was Kaysen on Wemby. He turns, Caruso kinda swipes, so does Kaysen. Kaysen gets enough of it, and then Chet comes over for the block. They go to overtime, 101 all. J-Dub doesn't start overtime.
and I just assumed he'd be out the whole
Same.
time. I just thought it was
AJ
a he had no
AJ
minutes
start.
restriction, but we thought maybe they were just gonna be conservative with his hamstring
Agreed.
and just sit him. But then he came in very soon.
Very soon. And also, yeah. So they played they had to play a little bit. Was that in, did they do the same thing in second overtime? Yeah.
No, did he?
Yes, because yeah. So I'll save that. Yeah, J-Dub comes back in at the 3:56 mark for Kaysen, and it was 101 still. Castle gets the dunk that we talked about over Shea. Then Shea misses a floater, and then we get the Wemby putback after the challenge where they got the, I think that was the out of bounds, potentially. Um It was a Wemby putback off a missed, Castle 3. Next play was, a missed Caruso 3 that turned into Chet got a loose ball foul on Wemby on the rebound attempt. Still Thunder ball. Caruso hits a 3 in the corner. This made it a 1-point game. This gave Caruso 30 points. That was Shea's 10th assist. Castle, bad pass turnover, steal. That was the J-Dub dunk in transition. Unbelievable play. J-Dub gets that dunk. Another insane Caruso play. OKC leads 106-105. Now we are at one of the 2 possessions that will live with me for a long time. Wemby loses the ball on a turnover. J-Dub's steal. He throws the ball ahead to AJ. There's, like, one player, I think maybe Caruso had crossed midcourt, like, it was like AJ was the only one on that side of the floor. I think he might have had Caruso with him,
It was a playoff shot.
but
It
don't
was a
quote me.
playoff. It was a playoff moment
And
at home.
he takes a 27-footer up by 1 with 1 minute and 31 seconds left, and he misses. Spurs rebound, Champagnie misses a three-pointer, Wemby misses a tip layup, and somehow we come away with the ball. Next possession, Shea gets that two-handed dunk in the lane. Champagnie misses a 3 from the corner. This was the tipped rebound that eventually AJ gets credit for. And this was the sequence that buried them. Up by 3, J-Dub takes what looks like a shot he's just trying to get the whistle on. Felt early in the clock, I'd have to go back. Oh, it had to have been.
It was a 2 for 1. I think it was a 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ gets the rebound at 46 seconds. J-Dub misses that shot at 34 seconds, which turns into, I think, a 3 that we will remember more infamously, if that's a word I could use, at 12:34 in the morning Eastern Time, than the Curry shot in 2016 regular season game, that the double bang. I think it might I think it might top any of the Clay threes from game 6. A 7'5" player receives a trail pass from the three-point line from from Castle, for a 28-foot three that, as soon as he started his motion, I felt like was going in. I didn't feel that way about the Aaron Gordon three last year. That one somehow is still rattling around in the rim
Mhm.
before it goes in. Didn't feel that way about the Halliburton shot that went in. I felt, as soon as he started the motion, I was like, "Oh, no."
It
That
felt
one,
deeper than it felt deeper than 28 foot too.
it felt like 32. It felt so deep. And,
Yeah, I was gonna,
there's that is
Victor
the
Clay Thompson
sequence.
Wembanyama was
I would
was
just
what
I would just rather, you're up 3. I just I don't care about the 2 for 1 anymore. I We're up 3. I just want the ball in Shai's hands, and, like, if J-Dub, like we saw in double overtime, or sorry, yeah, in double overtime, we saw Shai, get to, sorry, no, I'm sorry. It was in it was in first overtime. We saw Shai get to the lane, draw a bunch of guys, and kick it out to a J-Dub 3 with the game tied that would have potentially won the game. He misses.
it was clean. It was nothing wrong with that.
That's not at
Yeah,
all. That's the possession I wanted up by 3.
yeah, yeah.
Not not like a flailing off balance, kind of jumping sideways, looking for a foul kinda shot up by 3. Again, there's 30 seconds left. You're, like, right there. And again, that shot could just miss, you know? He misses that shot, people probably question the shot. Like, if he misses, the Thunder get the rebound, it's like, you have to foul at that point, and people wonder why he took the shot. So, like, there are, like, there's another side to it that's like, the shot is just crazy and, like, it went in. But I hate the attempt and the process from the Thunder on that on that final play there, with the lead, which just felt like they didn't lead the whole game. But they have a 3-point lead and they have all the momentum, and they just took 2 really, really, like shots that feel like inexperience, shots that feel like the 24 series against the Mavs. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know, like, those, they will think about like, those will hurt them for a while, because that they had a chance to just ice game 1, right there in first overtime.
That's really honestly the other thing is, you know, coach doesn't play the game, the players do, and, have a lot of, uh, as we are wont to do, have a lot of second guessing on plenty of coaching decisions that we can, second guess, but I do think, the Thunder's best players weren't at their best. I mean, it was a big they came up big in certain moments. Even Chet, you mentioned the big block, but and he hit some big threes, but it wasn't enough. You know,
I did not think the Chet game was very good.
no, no, no. It
No.
was a it's I think he knew it. I mean, he looked miserable
Yeah.
at the end of the game. I think he
I
looked
just don't know
embarrassed.
what I don't know what the answer is. Like, I don't know. I don't I it's hard to foresee. Sometimes it's like, "Oh, this team can bounce back and this player can bounce back." I think the team can bounce back. I just don't know what Chet does here.
he's got. I mean, as much as we've been annoyed by the Wembanyama weird like crush on Chet and wanting to, show him up nonstop, and they even showed, him celebrating missed Chet free throws and rain.
They show it every Spurs.
Yeah, yeah. So for him to, it is annoying to me, and Chet has not reciprocated or fostered or uh, made it that kind of a petty rivalry. But I feel like, has to take it personal. Like he has no choice. He, I mean, 40 minutes, 8 rebounds, took 7 shots, like a few nice plays. But he's an all star. He's a max player. He has been in the league as long as Wemby. He is 7 foot. He is skilled. He is, he's. And when you said earlier, you mentioned, is it possible that Dagon wishes he could put Chet and hope that he survives a more of a straight up matchup with Wembanyama? Pretty bad combination that he would roll first game back for J-Dub with multiple soft tissue injuries to, bear down in the paint, but won't even try Chet.
Yes.
I would
That
guess,
is it's an indictment on Chet. Like, this this is not a matchup that's going away. Like,
like to me, it's got to be. I'm not talking about locker room stuff, whatever, but Chet's got to be like, I want the matchup. I'm sick of this guy showing me up. I mean, frankly, Wemby did not have a good clutch game. He really has not had a lot of good clutch games against the Thunder. He hit that monster three, of course, but he is taunting. He's also lacks composure. I mean, when he's up, he taunts. He's happy, and when the Thunder get close, that's when he just like ducked his shoulder and tackled Caruso. Like you got to like take this stuff personally. I feel like for us to not to see the 7 foot unicorn that lines up against Wemby, who Wemby wants more than anything. And the other thing is, I want so that's another thing. Like it reminds me of the micro thunder last year when Chet was out and Iheart was a lot out. Caruso, J Dub digging down on every big. It was like a honeypot. Like, oh no, the Thunder are undersized. We'll dump the ball in, and they would just rip it and help and be awesome. Well, Victor Wembanyama is different than every other big in the league,
right,
and you don't want a bullseye under the rim for the 8 footer. He doesn't. He barely has to jump if they
right.
just lob it, and he has a little bit of positional advantage. It's over. It's just
Yeah.
over, and like for them to be. Again, it sounds stupid because he hits that three, but there were other possessions where they were not just crowding the guards, but Wimby would have it way above the break, and they're guarding the ball, trying to get the ball out of his hands. It's like one of the best shots you could ask for is a Wembanyama three from all of I mean, he shoots over 5 a game. He makes, I think, 34%. That's carried throughout the playoffs. He only takes a couple a game against the Thunder. So they limit his opportunities, but it's like they're afraid of his Kobe ball, like of his hero ball mode. And I would be a lot more, especially against Chet. Like if he wants to like try to cross Chet over and shoot fadeaways and get in the midi and all that stuff, like please go for it. Hit a couple, like I would be so much better than that than like desperately trying to stop him from even touching the ball because of who's guarding
Yeah.
him. Like I'm just ready to see more of a
It doesn't
mono
that
mono
that
straight up
part
matchup like that.
that part of the game where it's just so chaotic and so scrambled, it could lead to a big Thunder run, like, if everything goes well, like, truly everything. But it does feel like it just it just doesn't feel sustainable, and I think it makes I think it turns up, like, the temperature on the game in a way that, like, fuels San Antonio, especially Wemby. Like, it feels kind of like I don't know, I just think he feels the desperation from the Thunder when he's being guarded that way, even if it's working, for a few possessions, which it did, and it really did there in that late in the 4th. But, like, overall, I just feel like it's such a win for him that, like, he was out there for minutes that both Chet and Hartenstein were on the bench. He's gotta be looking over there like, "What are y'all doing? What are what why are both of y'all over there? We didn't expect this."
Also, by the way, Wemby a foot taller than every other big and can very easily, if you manage to stand him up and you don't steal the inbound pass, there's that corner three. The very willing, capable passer, he can just very easily whip it wherever he wants on the court. And if you collapsed on him, you know, there's another suboptimal shot you've given up. So it feels I think what you're talking about, it feels harder than it needs to be,
But again,
as admirably as they do it.
I just think it's their best option. I think their best option is a smaller guy that, like, can play, like, a low center of gravity, and you just get really, really physical. Again, I thought Dub and Caruso did a great job. I just don't know how sustainable it is. Like, I don't know that it gets you anything other than, like, a possession game late in the 4th. And I don't think the Thunder wanna play possession games late in the 4th. I know in the playoffs, it's like a lot of it's unavoidable, but we talked about this earlier in the year. It may have even been the last time we talked was like great teams don't win close games. They avoid them. They don't find themselves in a ton of possession games. Like we saw the Thunder hand away a possession game in game 1 against Denver, in game 3 against Denver, game 1 against Indiana, game 1 or game I believe it was 3 against Indiana was pretty close. They won their share as well last year in the playoffs, but I just don't know that they're gonna shoot it well enough to, like, that way. Like,
Peeling away.
they have to, like they have to, like, build go on these, like, death runs with turnovers and, like, the other big, big, big thing in this game was
You on this one?
the failed opportunities in transition. They had multiple runouts, 2-on-1s that resulted in no points, and one of them specifically was a Shai Caruso versus Castle 2-on-1. I believe it was in the 4th quarter. It may have been in first overtime, but Shai, as clear as day, just gets fouled. He just gets fouled by Castle. He fights through the contact, gets to the rim, and misses it. Probably should have been an and one, but, like, regardless, he has to finish that play. He either has to finish the play, make sure he gets fouled and shows it, or he has to make the pass, but they can't come away with nothing, and they did on more than one occasion. J-Dub had another one in overtime where they get nothing out of it. One where the ball hit the rim in extra time where Chet was right there for a putback dunk, goes right by, like, right through his hands. Those are backbreaking. The free throw misses, those misses in transition, you just have to have them there. It's a possession game late. You have a chance to really end things after not playing all that well, and they didn't do any of them. They didn't hit any of the kill shots. It's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my uh, ref game rundown. So she's 30% from the floor, 29% from three. And as tough as life is for him, he can make a lot of shots that he took. He had plenty that could and usually do go down. He did have 12 assists, 5 steals. That's another thing. Like it's easy to map like low energy or low effort when plays don't go your way. I feel like it was more mental than anything. There was a lot of times there was just that like a beat of hesitation, either or going too fast. The Mitchell shot going too fast. Other times they're pulling back when they might as well launch it. Chet, we went over. AJ, honestly, somehow AJ only took 5 shots, but I feel like all every shot he takes is a heat check. Um, and also AJ, like the plan cannot be driving to get to your floater against Wemby. Like, there's no point. Like, if you're gonna go downhill and have all the space in the world, you got to try to dish or find your way through contact up to the rim and get a foul or whatever you're gonna do. But it can't be a goal that you're gonna break the perimeter and get to space so that you can take a really ugly floater because Wimby's around. It's just
Mhm.
not worth trying. There's no point in that kind of offense. So those I think would be my. I will also like just it's so frustrating that J Will plays 10 minutes, no shot,
Yeah.
and
He's too good of a
Wiggins
shooter and
Wiggins is
spacer
4
to for
minutes,
that to
3
happen.
bricks.
Yeah.
It's like shot distribution, and it's not a matter of. I mean, everyone was taking three. I mean, they have threes, right? Like they have people around the perimeter. Caruso obviously going crazy, but they have those opportunities. And Dort 1 for 5, and Shea 2 for 7. His are not open, but yeah, I do think I don't think that the strategy made sense from start to finish. But I think you got to say it's on. They got outplayed. Shea got outplayed. I don't know that I wouldn't say Jado got outplayed. I think he had a really really solid game, but Caruso had an incredible game. But up and down the roster, they weren't winning their matchups with the guy across from him.
I totally agree. Like, the best players just have they it can't be that from Shea, and it can't be that from Chet. We'll see if they do try more Chet on Wemby in the half court, like, as their primary, or at least how they start possessions. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't know if that's the goal. Like, I think you try and get more minutes of Kaysen, J-Dub, and Shea out there earlier in the game. I think that would help. I think clearly their best 5 is what they were going with down the stretch, like Shea, AJ, Dub, Caruso, Chet. I think that's the lineup. I'd love to see them, like, sprinkle in some more McCain and just, like, really get after it, like, really try and hunt some threes for McCain. He he hit 1 3, but, like, he was also effective in that one play in transition. He gets a rebound, a key rebound where he's not really in position, and goes coast to coast against Cornette. I just thought he was a spark and, like, really lifts the team when he's out there. I think he's an additive piece in this series, which was,
Awesome seeing it.
that's a positive that
You know
they
how much I love McCain,
yeah.
but legitimately awesome, incredible. He's a sophomore.
They were a +9 in his minutes. A lot of those were
They
the
did try to pick on him a little bit.
yeah. A lot of those were the Cornette minutes as well. He was on the floor when Cornette was out there some, but I do think they could find more for him, if that comes at the expense of Hartenstein or Dort, whatever, and just give all of Wiggins minutes, obviously, like, let's put him on ice, like, get just give McCain those 4 minutes. I think that's a much better use of that time.
Or Joe. I
Or
would I
Joe.
would I would be so much happier living with 3 missed Isaiah Joe three-pointers in 4 minutes than 3 bricked Wiggins
What
in a turn down.
we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I'll just put me. I'm getting ahead of myself here. But let's say the Thunder go out in 6 games in this series. Let's say the Spurs, like, it just kind of stays this kind of course and it looks like this and it's just a slog. It's just an uphill grind where the Thunder play from behind the majority of these games, and maybe they flip a couple, but ultimately it's the Spurs. Like, if it's like this, where they can't figure out how to get Hardenstein on the court, Dort is not shooting the ball well, Joe is out of the rotation. Like, it is gonna be really hard not to over index on those things as they head into the summer with those 3 guys specifically. It's gonna be really hard not to draw, like, period end of story conclusions on those guys and their futures because again, all 3 of them have been good in the playoffs. Like, we will have to beat the drum that, like, this series can't and won't be the only determining factor of over decisions they're going to make with these guys. There's a much larger plan based on a much larger sample, but there's always some room for, like, overreaction, and
I've got an overreaction for you.
there's always room for, like, knee-jerk, like, writing on the wall type moments in these playoffs. We saw it with Giddy, and I think I'm of 2 minds, like, I'm worried for these guys because I like these guys, and I like them on this team, and they've done a lot. How much of, like, pre-Spurs, "Here's our plan, here's our thinking, here's the conversations we've had with agents the last few months, here's where we're thinking." Let's say they're like, "We're picking up both options, and we're gonna take both contracts in the next season." Like, that's the plan currently. But then this Spurs series happens.
I think that's plan A, but so everyone disagrees with me, but I think that's plan A. I think that plan A is win the title and keep the roster together.
If it's a Spurs in 6 kind of series, and it's specifically this for Hartenstein, I think it gets very interesting if they feel they need to pivot or could pivot in a way that, like, I think it's clear that they will have options to them that are so much cheaper than 28 million for Hardenstein with nothing left on the contract after next year. Dort's a little different story because this isn't the first time. Like, they've had playoff series where he just kind of comes and goes. And I think this could be one of them. And it is what it is. I don't think it's like an indictment necessarily on Dort long term. I think they've probably already made up their mind one way or the other. I don't think this will have the same effect, but I think for Hardenstein, it could really swing if it stays like this. He could have a bounce back game where he's like a real factor from the beginning in the starting lineup. He could like they could figure it out, and all of this is for nothing. But I it just makes me curious. The Mavs series, just like I don't know that I don't know that their plan pre Mavs series was we're gonna trade Josh Giddey, and I think after that series, it was pretty clear that like he either has to come off the bench and we're gonna pitch it to him, and we probably know the answer we're gonna get, and then we'll move from there. I just wonder like if that Mavs series really cooked their view of like his future with this core.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, who yeah,
this
who knows? But
if this kind of series for Hardenstein could do the same. Did you think about Giddy at all watching Caruso tonight?
oh yeah, I mean, like I said, he's like it's that Tony Allen Giddy. It's the it's the
I've just never
yeah,
I've never seen a player do the things in succession that Caruso did tonight.
yeah,
I've never seen a role player other than potentially Draymond, like, flip a game. When he saved that ball out of bounds off of Wemby, like, I mean, after everything he had done in the game so far, he saves it off of him and just sits there with his back, like, in the crowd and just sat there for I don't know if he was, like, tweak something or what, or if he was just kinda milking it. That was, like, some gladiator stuff from him tonight. I don't think that's another just really gutting part about this game is that, like, you're you're not counting on 31 points from Caruso again. You can count on the maniacal defensive stuff and the instincts and, like, "Oh, Castle's committed to shooting this baseline jumper. Let me go from the above the foul line to go block this really quick," kinda stuff like that. It's so funny because it's like, I've
well,
never seen
helping
anybody
off
do this.
Wemby.
Yes.
He's doing those plays helping off of Wemby. It's incredible.
I
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, how someone can have those instincts and the processing speed. He's like a supercomputer on defense, and in the same way that, like, obviously different positions, but, like, in the same way that, like, Duncan was, in the same way that Draymond was and still is sometimes, the next time Draymond misses a rotation will be the first. Like, he just doesn't do it. And Caruso has this knack for, like, now it's like the possession is winding down. I'm going to, like, Ed Reed this possession, and we'll just get the ball, or I'll block it. But I'm abandoning ship over here, and he's doing again, like you're saying, against Wemby. Like, he's just
Yeah.
leaving him to go get this block. I am hate that we might just forget this Caruso game in the way that we forgot the game 1 against I think it was Indiana last year, like, just an amazing, amazing game where he's just, like, emptying the clip, emptying the chamber against this team. I hate that we're gonna probably forget this Caruso game in the grand scheme of things, 'cause he deserved, like I was like, "Are they gonna win this game and just, like, start, building the Caruso statue, like, tonight? Like, this is outrageous." I bow down to Alex Caruso. That guy is an absolute gladiator, and I was bummed for him specifically because he deserved a win when he walked back to the locker room tonight.
Yeah, so I've got a couple final thoughts from on the roster. One, I'm still sticking with Thunder. I'm gonna modify my Thunder in 5 confidence. I'm gonna say it's gonna go at least 6 at this point. The
How
Daigneault
much
said before the game.
is it just Thunder? How much is it just like you got your hat on? You really think they're gonna win?
Oh, I really think they're gonna win. Yeah,
Okay. I just wanted to
yeah.
check. Keep going.
I mean, say if I didn't have their statistical profile and they hadn't been if they didn't win last year and we haven't been through some of this, I would be hopeless, I think. But I mean, if
Fair.
any, I mean, they are truly historic on paper, you
Yeah.
know. And it's not just theory; it's been in practice. They won, and they're trying to win the second one. So I'm not gonna uh, be shocked if they can't do it, but I'm still counting on it. But I think so. Daigneault said before the game that he considers the starting lineup just a rotation choice.
Yeah.
Um, if that's the case, then he needs to go back to being more fluid. He used to be more fluid before this year. Uh, well, really, when Hartenstein came in, Plan A was to start him, but I think they even talked openly about how they weren't sure if they were going to stick with double bigs as the starting unit forever. I mean, they really think it was like an 8 or 9 slate of potential starters that they just need to play their best units against the opponents in the most optimal way. They have all those guys. They will all have minutes, and I mean, you just got to match up with the team that's doing better than your standard unit. Um, the other thing I'd say is confidence aside, if it is a disaster, if this thing goes down for San Antonio in 5 or 6, I don't even know if you're thinking big enough because Wemby's 22 years old and Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, they are not going away.
Mhm.
And if they beat the Thunder by basically being a carbon copy of their only better, right? The type of no, they don't have Shea. They don't have that kind of creation and scoring, but you know, they'll be fine on offense long term. And you really got to say, it is just one team, but like if the Thunder model is a can't overcome the Spurs model, okay, Caruso and Ihart are over 30. Yeah. How many seasons can you count on Caruso being Hercules uh in the playoffs against Jokic and Wemby, right?
But to that point, I think you just have to figure out a way to get him on a lower number. and I don't know that he would go for that, but, like, he just doesn't play much in the regular season, and so I think you can extend that number. I think that number gets bigger if you continue doing what they're doing. I just don't know that it's sustainable cap-wise.
Well, and I'm not obviously, I do not wanna I don't wanna ship with anyone. I really don't wanna ship with Caruso, and this wouldn't be a suggestion, but I'm gonna say it. Chet, like, if
Stop,
you're anchoring yourself
stop,
to
stop.
this
It's the last name I thought you were
permanently,
gonna say. It's the last name I thought you were gonna say.
I'm not just saying they're gonna ship off Chet, but I'm saying, like, if this model is this type of defensive setup with these players, I don't know that it's gonna get better, you know? So I'm not saying any one player needs to get
I
shipped off,
think
but I don't know if it's
think
as
it
simple as
absolutely like, there are ways to put someone next to Chet that, like, means you don't have to put J-Dub on Wemby. Like, I think there like,
who
what if Thomas Sorber becomes that guy next year or the year after? Like, what if he's really good? Like, what if he can really hold his ground? He's a beefy kid, and, like, he's the kind of player on offense that works perfectly next to Chet in theory. I'm just saying he may be an option as soon as, like, next February, you know? He could be
they got
someone. Say it
and they got a
again?
pick. They got multiple picks this first round. So, I mean, the ideal way is to find it through the assets they have,
Like,
obviously.
I don't think it's Mara, but what if Yaxel could be really effective in this matchup? What if Jaden Quaintance could be really effective in this kinda matchup? There are ways to put someone next to Chet that's, like, makes this work a lot better, that doesn't involve, like and again, I think when J-Dub's, like, at hi at his very best, like, at his healthiest, he's, like, a good option. Like, we've seen him be very effective against bigger guys. Same with Caruso. So, I'm not, like I do think it stinks for Chet specifically that, like, this has gone the way that it has and that, like, he's the player he is and, like, came along at this time, and it's just like, you can do everything and you're like, an all-world rim protector, but France came up with this bigger, better, badder version of the same player, and he also hates you. So, sucks that this is the reality here, but, like, there's no chance that OKC walks away from this series regardless of how it goes. Let's say Chet doesn't play a single game better than this one. I don't think there's a chance OKC walks away from this series saying, "Probably gotta move 7." I just don't think
Yeah,
there's
well, and again, I'm not saying move 7, but I'm saying the approach, the strategy.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
what
think
what if
it's a hard look.
what if it's hard to feel really great about what if players who have not played a single NBA minute. You know, you could say what if Herb John. You could say what if other, you know, kind of bigger front court slash wing size that you keep stacking the deck with and lean even more to the Caruso and J Dub and have those kind of bodies. They could acquire players like that. Not easily, obviously, but I just want to like is the defensive grinding physical advantage if they don't have it against the team they're going to play. Is there a pivot to a different type of roster construction, balance of offensive and defensive players? I mean, we're seeing Jared McCain get real minutes right now. Like that would be shocking to us, I think, a while ago, right? That in
Agreed,
this matchup that they need Jared McCain of
agreed.
all people. So
And
yeah,
I
not
think that's
again.
a
I'm
shout
not
out.
trying to trade away anyone.
I think that's a feather in Mark's cap. Like it's just not the kind of player that I feel like this organization was like that was palatable to this organization as early or as recent as like a year ago, 2 years ago. I think they've like it's taken a while to get the defense to this level, especially on the perimeter, and I think finally, well, I don't know what the breaking point was, but I think at some point Sam was like, "Okay, I think we can incorporate a guy who has the skill set of McCain from the outside and figure it out on the other end." Like, we're at the point where everything else is going to allow his weaknesses to, like, hide enough. And I think he's holding his own. He's at least trying to hold his own around some of these screens, which are pretty hefty. I think he's done a pretty solid job. So I agree. Like, McCain is not the kind of player that OKC put on the floor in recent years. He's the exact player they've tried to, like, stay away from. The, like, slanted only offense kind of player, but he just has so much to his game. Like, he has way more to his game than Isaiah Joe, and I think that's why you're seeing him get more minutes. Lower center of gravity, much quicker, faster release, can, get to mid-range on his own, can get to the basket on his own. Like, these are, like, real tools, like, real offensive tools that would work in any system, much less a system that has all these insane defenders.
Yeah, and I
More
mean,
more McCain.
we can throw a toe pitch out there. We can say Sorber. We can say name your pick. Name your pick you want to move up for this draft. Then name your first ever lucky lottery truly lottery result next year.
Because
Say
because the
worked
ideal
out last
the
year.
ideal the ideal is Boozer, I think. Not necessarily in this matchup, but just the ideal 4/5 to put next to Chet is Boozer.
Boozer, Caleb, I think would be pretty ideal. I mean, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we love blue chip players.
Yeah,
Thunder have
they're good.
there are
They're good.
few blue chip players. One
And
really depressing thing though, man, looking at these stats, I mean, this is a Thunder blowout. Like I said, this is a Thunder
yeah,
blowout on paper.
the box score is it's worse every time you look at it.
They have uh, won the turnover margin by 7. They shot evenly pretty much from the floor, made more threes, made a better percentage of threes.
+7 in the turnover battle.
Yeah, pretty even on points in the paint. I mean, really, it was if you want to find one of the factors, you're going to point at offensive rebounds. But
Mhm.
that's what you're giving up when the way they're handling
Yep,
Wemby.
yep.
And you're definitely right on the fast break thing because in the first half they were winning 16-0. The Spurs, I don't think, scored a fast break point in the first half. And you could say, well, they should have cashed in more than Sam, but also they were down 7 with that margin in their favor. I mean, these are, like I said, these are 30-point blowout wins against every other team. So on the one hand, you could say they overall played their game and had a pretty really strong defensive game overall. And Shai has a couple shots. Some of the shots are distributed a little bit better. Chet's a little more game,
Wemby doesn't make the 28-footer.
Right, yeah. But you could also say Wemby puts one of Caruso or J-Dub in foul trouble. Then what?
Mhm.
There's plenty of variables that could have it swung it more in the Spurs direction. I think fewer
Yeah.
that would go in favor of the Thunder. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough series, I think. I think the
Yeah,
Spurs are good.
yeah. I'm let's circle back on the Chet. Obviously, I think that's the biggest thing going forward is, like, do they do they just live with more one-on-one Chet versus Wemby in the half court? Even if it turns into, a few highlights, like, get Wemby in a slow down half court
That's what I'm saying.
situation and, like,
Let them take 7 threes and mid ranges and let them shoot 30 to 40% on all of those tough shots and get an easy rebound when it doesn't go in
yeah.
because it's the 8 footers away from the paint. I just want to see it. Let me see it. I'm just
And
curious. I'm
maybe
curious
maybe he
if
does
that's
it
gonna
maybe
be.
they go there and it works. Maybe they go there and, like, Chet does really well. He just, like, responds and holds his own and, you know, we'll see. But that'll
He's
be
got to
something
want.
to
He's got to want it. He's got. I
has
mean,
to,
you can't not want it against this guy. Like
has to.
whether that's him demanding the matchup for Dagon or Dagon making a call and him being like, "Awesome. This is what I want." Like, that's it. And I'm not saying he doesn't have to outplay Wemby, but he's capable of going blow to blow with him. Like, he can play much better. He played what 8 minutes fewer than Wemby. Like I think he's got to step up. Shea can hit a few more shots, but I do think it's mostly down to if someone needs to be that swing. I think it's got to be Mr. Holmgren,
Alright, any other
and I would
notes?
love it. I would love it for him. W-
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it would be so great. I mean, I was loving the end of that game when he blocked when they were punting me. They thought they had it. I felt like, okay, that's going to be a nice, really nice boost heading in the next one. But hopefully they do that, carry that energy forward, and it looks better and feels better all around. I think I'm out. I'm out of thoughts
Out of
before I
thoughts?
trade out the roster.
We probably should yeah, it feels like 3 days ago, but Shea was awarded officially the MVP trophy to start the night. Loved the reception that Adam Silver got when they said his name, just a bunch of ball knowers inside Paycom. All of it feels so theatrical. The awards season at the end of the year has really turned into, like, how much, like, toxicity and drama can we stir up intentionally, like, just in our planning, and the whole, like, announcing and Shams yes or Sunday and then, this thing used to be given out in the second round, and back-to-back years that Shea wins it, it's given out in round 3, and this time in front of one of the finalists, and, I think it's all very intentional and built to make it feel more personal and motivating. I don't know, it feels very intentional, and I enjoyed the, you know, chorus of boos that Adam Silver was met with tonight because I think he's, on for many, many, many reasons doing an ass job right now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm here for it. I like you know, there's a lot of chippy, petty. We all hate. I think everyone finally hates the free throw discourse. That side of things sucks, but
Reggie
the
Miller
general,
doesn't. Reggie Miller hasn't had enough yet.
yeah, it wasn't that long ago when people were like, "Oh, these guys are too friendly. Oh, they're teaming up too much." It's a new era, right? And these guys don't like each other. I like that they don't like each other. I like that I'm watching a Spurs game and yelling, "Get out of my state" to Lindy Waters, uh, hometown favorite. I'm not even an Oklahoma. He's more of an Oklahoman than me, but get out of my state, stop cheering women. Like, yeah, it's exciting. But
Fi
I'll be more excited and happy if they take game two before it turned into a real kind of meltdown mode.
Final thing, I'm just because I'm seeing a replay of it now. At the 105 mark, Shea gets the ball in transition. 105 mark of the fourth quarter, 97-97. And this is the play that he just two arm grab by Castle in a tie game with 50 at the time he was taking the shot, it was right at a minute, and that's a huge missed call, massive, and I'm sure there are others on both sides, but that specifically was, like, right in front of him, right in front of the official in transition, like, it could not have been more clear. So, yeah, that one's
Yeah, I mean, I will say, if anyone thinks Thunder are winning from free throws, they're not. They never were, but they're really, really not. They're not even watching the box score now. Like,
Wemby was very they even mentioned it on the broadcast, there was a on the play where one ref called, uh, Harper out of bounds and the timeout was granted to San Antonio. This was after the J-Dub
yeah,
3 tie game, 10 I think it was 108-108. Uh, yeah, tie game, end of first overtime. Shea, gets the ball to on the paint, gets it to J-Dub wide open. I'm watching it right now. Just a full arm hook of Wemby on Chet on the rebound. I thought Mark might try and challenge because they called the timeout. There's no way to challenge away from the timeout to approximate foul. And the only other option was calling Harper out of bounds, which they did initially. So, which he would need to challenge. So, yeah, that's another really tough one.
And there were some bad timeouts taken, but we don't want to go back to that. Tough loss.
I think this one will
These are
stick.
games.
I think like I'll you made your prediction. I will say that this loss has officially tipped the scales towards the Spurs, and I think they win it in either 6 games or 5 games.
Okay.
Think think the Thunder win game 2, but, like, after the regular season, specifically the Christmas game, being there in person, being in that press room after the game, just how, like, answerless they seemed about this team, having lost to them now 3 times in, like, 16 days. At that point, I just it's hard for me to even envision. I know they beat them in January by 21. It's hard for me to envision the Thunder beating this Spurs team, like, going away. And I don't think that they're going to have enough answers for Wemby to win possession games like this late. And I could be wrong. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. But
And
I will
that's
say
honestly, that's one risk of they don't making more adjustments that they want is that confidence
they
conviction
showed
factor of
so much. They showed
if
so
they if they feel spooked and they're throwing everything at the wall, it's like no, they would never admit it, but it's like we're just like, you know,
you're just
just a Hail
grasping
Mary.
at stuff.
We're doing a Hail Marys in game 2. How do
Exactly.
you have confidence? So
I
we'll
don't
see.
these are yeah, you just game 1 felt like a must win for the Thunder in a weird way, and, like, you can't lose the must wins. You can't expend this kinda energy and expend a Caruso masterclass and lose in double overtime and, like, put 50 minutes on Shea right off the bat. It's gonna
I'm
be
just
a
gonna say
long 48 hours.
outside of just shot making and shot distribution that is very doable. They have to dominate on energy. After that game, it's not just Wemby. If you look from the 6 minute mark on in the fourth quarter, the Spurs starters played the rest of the game until the very last seconds of garbage time. So they cannot get away with this. They can't play more minutes, exert more energy, survive a thriller like that, and play another game on the road at home. And they can't. The Thunder have to be they've got to be the puncher. They've got to be alive and electric. I know it was a long game for them too, but they played a much deeper rotation and had a lot fewer minutes on their legs, and they've got to come out swinging. And if they don't, it's probably a wrap. So we'll see.
Game 2 on Wednesday. Gosh, the start of that game feels like a week ago. What a wild night. The night that just, like these are the kinda nights that, like, define your playoff experience as a fan. These are, like, never forget kind of nights, and it stinks that it went against the Thunder because, like, what an epic win this would have been at home after the way the majority of the game had gone. But game 2, Wednesday in Oklahoma City, it's another 7:30 local start. I think NBC has every game. I think they have the whole conference final. Yeah, NBC,
Yeah, that's fair.
I think ESPN has the East.
Very, very predictable, very easy on our rattled playoff minds. We got every other game. It's always on NBC. It's always against the Spurs.
Yeah. Uh, just I will end it with this. Mike Tirico is the best. He makes every sporting event feel grand, whether it's the Olympics, golf, basketball, Sunday night football, the Super Bowl. He is the best in the business and, like, one of the best broadcasters of my lifetime. I think I will remember him as the broadcaster of my lifetime. I don't think anyone's resume, like, touches his, and I'm like, it's genuinely, like the best that this series gets him. I know they mentioned a bunch of times how stoked they are to be calling this series specifically, but, like, this series is, like, a winner because it gets him, like, the best voice, and I know Breen is incredible. I love Mike Breen. Mike Tirico is the best going, and I'm stoked that we get to hear him, hopefully, 7 games that end in a epic Thunder win at home, so, excited for game 2, obviously hoping it goes a different direction at the end.
Yeah, thumbs up on the progress, man. Yeah, everything's about Chirico. Yeah, even Reggie.
He almost makes you forget that Reggie Miller's sitting, like, right beside him, and that is
Yeah,
the ultimate tell of a pro. When
yeah,
someone who's, like, consistently says "E mano," um, like, he's a true buffoon sitting next to him, like, I just shout out to Mike Tirico for putting up with that. Because Jamal Crawford, I also think we big thumbs up. Reggie is a train wreck and has been for, like, a over a decade.
Crawford is finding his way, but I like the direction. Reggie's likable often, but I'm like, okay, nice little Reggie moment. I appreciate that. Good insight. Even-handed. And then he'll say, um, "Oh, he just made his third field goal."
He also sat courtside
He's a broadcaster.
he also sat courtside in Indiana for all the finals games in a Pacers uniform,
Yeah,
and, like,
I forgot about
I just didn't know we could do that. I didn't know we could do that. What a
that.
thing to
Yeah,
do. I didn't know we could do that.
yeah.
But hey, people will get on Doris, have at it. You ultra trolls and losers, you haters and losers, you have no idea what you're talking about going at Doris when we have to, like, actually listen to this guy go on, e mono, Reggie Miller. Classic.
All
Next
right,
time yes,
with
please.
that, I'm gonna go in and we did record this live, so there were witnesses that can make fun of us. But I'm gonna go in and edit out all of our mistakes and fumbles, so we don't make
Justice
mistakes.
justice for Tarico. We're on to game 2.